Hola, wie geht's? Cheers, and welcome to another episode of Al's Air Guns. Today we are going to upgrade a Crosman 2289 Drifter air gun, pump-up pneumatic. This is in 22 caliber, and like many of the Crosman CO2 and pump-up guns, this ships with what they call their plastic breech. This breech is usually not bad. This particular unit, I think, is a little bit out of alignment. And I struggled with it in terms of getting the accuracy that I wanted, and I believe part of it was related to the breech. One way or the other, I had intended to upgrade this anyway to Crosman's Steel Breech, because this allows us to easily mount optics, and I wanted to go ahead and put a red dot sight on or some other optic to give me the best precision that I can out of this, best accuracy. So I went ahead and ordered this kit, got this one from Pyramid Air. It is the Crosman. They've got it listed as a 2240 SBPK Steel Breech kit. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Obviously, it's not a 2240 that we have here, but we should have a compatible breech, and also have our instructions. So what all do we have? We've got a steel breech itself, nicely machined and finished. Looks just like I'm used to seeing them. And we'll set that right there. The steel breech does require that we switch the bolt. We can't use that standard bolt anymore. That's actually a two-part breech that lets you take it apart and insert the bolt, whereas the steel breech requires a different bolt be used. So in our kit, what we've gotten is a set screw, a grub screw, which we'll put right there. It's a barrel screw that once we put the barrel into this breech, we'll use that to go ahead and secure it. They also gave us a couple of Allen keys that are going to be required to perform the upgrade. They've told us we need to use our own screwdriver, and we're actually going to need both a Phillips and a straight blade, although these instructions are going to tell you you need a straight blade, but that's because they're dealing with only the 2240, and with the 2289, 1322s, 1377s, or any of those, you're going to have to deal with this mount up here, which is going to require a Phillips head. So we'll go ahead and also get a straight blade out to deal with that as we need to. And this is the upgraded bolt that I talked about. In these instructions, the first thing they tell us to do, and I read them earlier and I was a little bit confused when they say to install the breech kit, make sure the gun's unloaded. We'll do that in a moment. There's no CO2 cartridge. Well, we don't have one here. That it's on safe. I'll do that for you in a second. Then also, they're going to have us cock the bolt by pulling it back to the rear, remove the breech screw, which I will do, decock, remove the rear side screw, blah, blah. When they talk about installing this, one of the first things they tell me is to install a breech seal on the tip of the new bolt. What they're actually talking about is the O-ring that's already been installed for us right there. So that kind of threw me off when I read it. So if you read it and don't know what they're talking about, these all ship already installed. Never seen them not be, but there's the bolt itself. There's the handle. This is a screw that we'll be using to go through the top. We've also got a new spacer that's going to go in the back like so. And let's go ahead and follow these instructions, start taking this thing apart. Okay, let's go ahead and start this installation. First thing we're going to do here is make sure that the gun's unloaded. Pull it to the rear. Go ahead, check that it's empty. It's also decocked. Push it to fire. Point it at the metal chest. Boom. All right, we are clear. Going to go ahead and put it back on safe. And the instructions tell us after making sure our weapon is clear, put it on safe, then cock the bolt by lifting the bolt handle up and pulling the bolt all the way back. All right, bolts all the way back. They now want us to remove the breech screw located in the front of the bolt in the breech opening and to keep the screw. And we can see right there at the front, that is the breech screw. I found it to help, and I'll have to get my arm around here. We're going to remove it using the small Allen key. We pull that to the rear. And as we're in there, I always find it's helpful to apply a little bit of downward pressure to the barrel to release a little pressure from that screw. As we go ahead and break that loose, which I have just done. You want to be really careful, and this is true putting it back in too, that you don't strip these. They're actually pretty easy to strip. One of the modifications people frequently do once you get this out of here is to go ahead and cut a slot for a straight blade screwdriver rather than this little bitty Allen key. So let's go ahead, spin that out. I think I got it. And there we go. Oops. There we go. Set that right there. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and loosen this barrel band so that I've got a little bit of play with the barrel. Need the Phillips to go ahead and do that. All right, just looking for a little bit there. All right, got a little bit of flex where I had not before. Looking at our instructions, we've removed the breech screw and cup it. Want us to decock our bolt and then remove the rear side screw. So we will decock our bolt, pointing in the safe direction, and take off safe, pull the trigger. Now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and get a straight blade and remove this rear sight screw. And I'll just use one that I've set out here. Okay. Go ahead. Let's get an appropriate Phillips, or excuse me, straight blade. Spin that up and off. We are out. Set that aside. Okay, now we can go ahead, remove the breech, and we want to be careful that we don't lose our transfer port, or transfer port sleeve. I believe this is actually described as. When we put this back in, short side goes into the metal receiver tube, and the long side goes up into the barrel. You'll also notice there is a gasket in here. Don't lose that. That's what seals the bottom and makes sure the pressure does not escape. Now that we've got that done, let's take a peek at our instructions. Okay, we loosened the barrel band, lifted up the breech, removed it, slid the breech off. Okay, and installing the new breech screw, it already has our seal on the new bolt. We'll now insert the new bolt into the breech and the screw into the bolt handle. All right, let's go ahead and do that. Goes in from the back. Whoop, slides all the way through. I'll catch it this time. All right, and we'll go ahead and get our bolt handle on there. Threads on right there, righty-tighty. All right, we are good. Boom, boom. Next thing we're going to do, Place the steel breech on top of the tube. Ensure the bolt body is forward of your cocking pin. So we basically need to make sure the back of the bolt's ahead of this pin right here. All right, we want to slide it onto the barrel and install the barrel set screw. Install the transfer port sleeve between the breech tube. Ensure everything's lined up. Pop it on there. Ensure the body is forward of the cocking pin. Install the breech plug and the rear sight screw. And they're going to have a steel breech screw last. I went ahead and threaded the grub screw for the barrel in a few threads, just so I wouldn't have to mess with it while doing this part. When we go ahead and slide the barrel into the breech there, there's my bolt. It's forward, so now I have it ahead of the cocking pin, as you can see there. I'm going to go ahead and line up all of our holes so that it's looking good, which we have there. We get our end cap here. It's lined up. Slide that down through. Go ahead and find our threads. I think we're good. Oh, almost good. There we go. Go ahead and get my straight blade back. A little awkward to do with the camera right here. So for a moment I'm gonna swing it around and snug it up. Okay, we're going to go ahead and look in here, check for alignment on our breech screw. It looks good. But what did we do? We forgot our transfer port. Not an uncommon mistake. We got to rip it apart and start over.